Alright, on today's episode of Ron Guyver, we got a package from Amazon. It looks like it's been, thrown down the road. But anyway, so what we're going to do today is the surround on my 1500 Silverado came off for the pull handle on tailgate. And I installed a head unit that uses it has an input for reversing camera. It's a 10-inch touchscreen in this 2010 1500 Silverado. Z71. So I'm going to take and replace that plastic surround with one that I picked up off of Amazon for relatively inexpensive. It has a camera and a lock on it, so maybe someone won't steal my tailgate when I'm out at the lake. So in this one it has the backup camera, which I was using one that belongs on a license plate that came with that head unit. This one, as you can see, has a lock, so it will lock. Has a camera installed so I can see backing up. Okay, and it even came with a new pull handle, which is kind of cool. Maybe I'll change it while I'm in there. I don't know, maybe I should, because there's the thing that mine doesn't have. Alright, let's move some stuff around here and see what we can see. As you can see, there's where mine is right now. It's that piece is gone, but I've been using this backup license plate version here that seemed to have been getting me by, so I could see how to do my hitch. What I'm going to do, I did notice that it does have a locking mechanism, interface, whatever the thing's called. So I'm going to go ahead and do my thing and get this swapped out, use the cable in this one to pull it through the gate and underneath, and get that set up and tested. So we'll do that real quick. Stand by as I get set up. Alright, well, this is probably going to be one of my worst videos, but there's nothing I can do about it. The light's kind of weird, this situation. I'm not going to turn the truck around. So basically, you can see where I fed the cable through a little hole that I cut here in this end cap that I'm replacing. So we pick it up, and we can see that I fished it back in, zip tied everything up. So we're going to cut all that loose, and I'm going to use that to fish my cable down, right? And you can see where I tied into my rear tail light. I'm going to leave that cable here to make up for the power. And then I'm going to send that on down the line to my head unit inside. So I'm going to fish that in. You don't need to see all that because, frankly, it's quite boring. But give me a minute and I'll get it all set up. As you can see, this is the head unit that I'm using now. It's got enough junk on it that it keeps you busy for a day. Got the camera set up where I was hoping that you could get a good. So, as you can see, I don't know where we're at. Crap. Now from front to back because of the distance and where I'm at, crew cab truck, yada yada. So you can see it's not really wanting to do it, but for some reason I'm having issues between here and there, and it's showing the camera failure. Sometimes it'll come on, it'll flicker. That wireless setup's great, right? Till it ain't. It's showing I got power on the unit, so it should be receiving, and sometimes it does. But from everything that I've read, it's telling me I got too much metal between the wireless transmitter and receiver. So, alright, so there's a little update. Basically what we're looking at when we see this is that I'm not going to lift it up because there are no tools on it, but there's cutouts right here on the edge, this lip underneath that plastic, and I took and hooked the two together, pulled them through. So now I have it fishing through my tail light right here where the corner is of my tailgate. There's a hole or a cutout. I went ahead and fished it through there using the old wire that I had. And what we're going to do now, if I get my camera step, it's kind of windy, is I'm going to pull everything through a hole that I made here, right on this corner, and I'm pulling it through, feeding it, and you see the green mark that I got. That's going to let me know where I have my wires that I'm going to tie back into these, which is my signal from the backup light and my ground, which I have already in place. And I'm going to put some pull plugs in case I got to remove it. I can take those steps necessary to, whatever, sure. But it just helps me when I'm doing stuff. So I'm going to get that done, feed that through here where, let's get it back on this side of that wiring harness. And then I'll fish that through the chassis into the back of the cab, because all these new vehicles have to have these air vents that are pretty much a requirement, for whatever reason, O2, CO2 poisoning or some story. Anyway, so every one of them has like a little plastic cover with a flappy valve on it. I don't know what it's called, but I'll show you all here in a little bit. And you can feed your harness through that around the threshold or up around the door jamb, either way, and then down into the dash to the radio. So at this rate, I'm gonna go ahead and continue mission and feed all that mess down here that you see on the ground, up through the chassis, you know, through the fender well, up under there, right, the chassis, and up to the cab of the truck. So, I know you get bored easy. I get bored easy, so we're not gonna look at all that mess. We're just gonna continue mission, okay? So, anyway, I'm gonna pause you and get busy. All right, so let's see what I got kind of halfway accomplished here, I don't know. So inside here, you see this old control cable here comes up from under that insulation wall. Well, to do that, we had to go in there by hand. Do you see way up in there? Hold on. Do you see way up in there between the cab, that vent flap I'm telling you about? See it way up there? I just grabbed it with my tip of my finger, was pushing it that way until it fell out the inside on that insulation. Oof, I'm tired. Did I mention I got stung by a yellow jacket yesterday, and 2 days later, well, you know, whatever, 36 hours later, my hand's still swollen, stiff, and painful. But you know what, that's what happens. At any rate, so I got it in there. That's how I'm gonna feed the cable. I'm gonna run it down the body line, zip tie it off, and put it into the cab that way. So at least that'll give you an idea what I'm talking about. But every back of the cab, my buddy's F-150 is the same way. But that's like some kind of vent thing to keep CO2 from building up. I don't know. Cabin equalizer pressure thing. I'm not a scientist, I'm just a dude. So you want to feed that cable through there, and I'm going to use this control wire, tape it on, pull it in, and get it to the dash using the moldings I'll show and talk about here in a second. All right, as you can see, so we got the cable inside. All right, like I said, you're going to be dealing with me pulling the cable through. We're going to route it behind here into this threshold moldings that snap off. We're going to push it through the screw that's here all the way up to the front, into the dash, to the head unit. Once we get that connected, then I'll hook everybody, or I'll connect you back to the video, and we'll test it and make sure it functions properly. So y'all stand by and, you know, give me a second, okay? So hold on. All right, so we're going to see if this works. I'm going to go ahead and put it in reverse and see what happens. Oh, looky there. I'm Ron Guyver. Yeah, that's a pretty wore out piece of cardboard, but it lets you see that the camera's working. It's not a bad picture either. So at any rate, anything is possible. All you got to do is try. And if you're not sure how, you ask. You know, you search, you look. So again, it's working. There it is. Thank you. Peace out. If you like what you see, subscribe. If you don't, hey, thumbs up, thumbs down, comment. Doesn't matter. Interaction's good. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. So on to the next video. Y'all have a great day.